Have you ever wondered why some people seem to live in an endless flow of ease, where opportunities, comfort, and money arrive almost as if invited, while others struggle constantly, counting every bill and feeling that prosperity is always slipping away? Imagine if the difference had nothing to do with luck, background, or timing, but with a simple, silent conversation that happens inside the mind every single day. Florence Scovel Shinn, a brilliant teacher from nearly a century ago, said something that today's scientists are still confirming. Your words are creative forces. The way you speak about money is not merely description, it's instruction. Each phrase is a seed that lands somewhere in the invisible field of life, waiting to bloom according to the energy you plant with it. Think about the moments when you mutter to yourself, "This is too expensive," or "I'll never afford that." You may believe you're being realistic, but in truth, you're repeating a command that shapes your financial atmosphere. The world mirrors back whatever you say with conviction. It's like standing in front of an echoing canyon. What you shout returns amplified. Florence taught that words carry a vibration, a magnetic tone that summons experiences aligned with it. When we speak from fear, we magnetize more reasons to fear. When we speak from trust, we open channels that bring support. Now imagine reversing that habit entirely, not by pretending to be rich, not by acting superior or delusional, but by building a new emotional reflex. Picture touching a dollar bill or even glancing at your banking app, and instead of tension, you feel calm certainty. That moment, brief as a breath, becomes an intentional reset, a micropause where you declare harmony with abundance. It takes only a few seconds, less time than it takes to sigh in frustration, yet its ripple can extend across your entire life. Florence Scovel Shinn often described money as a loyal servant of faith. She insisted that prosperity begins not in the wallet, but in the imagination. When you shift the feeling behind your words, you change your frequency, and reality rearranges to match it. Modern neuroscience agrees. Repeated statements, especially those charged with emotion, create durable neural circuits. If you've spent years reinforcing scarcity through complaint and worry, your brain has built highways of limitation. The good news is that the mind is endlessly flexible. A new pattern can be drawn in days, provided it's repeated with awareness and feeling. So, what if, from this day forward, every time you handled money you made it a small act of gratitude instead of fear? When you pay a bill, you silently bless the service it provided. When you receive any income, salary, gift, or a simple coin, you honor it as proof that the universe still circulates through you. This shift doesn't require rituals of candles or elaborate prayers. It requires consciousness, 7 seconds of it. 7 seconds where your mind and your words align to tell a different story, one of freedom instead of struggle. Florence's philosophy was simple yet radical. Life responds to the tone of your inner dialogue. She observed that people who speak abundance gradually think, feel, and act as abundant beings. That state, in turn, attracts circumstances that confirm the belief. It's not superstition, it's resonance. The universe behaves like a vast instrument. It vibrates with whatever note you play. Each complaint is a discordant sound. Each word of faith is harmony. Which song do you want echoing through your life? Consider this. Every culture on earth carries proverbs linking speech to fate. As you speak, so you become. The tongue paints destiny. Florence distilled those truths into practical steps. She believed in using words as medicine, dosing the mind with affirmations that heal doubt. And she was ahead of her time. Modern psychologists now teach affirmational reframing to change emotional conditioning. She taught it with poetry and conviction, urging her readers to speak prosperity as naturally as they once spoke worry. Here's a small exercise. Close your eyes and think of money not as paper but as a current of energy passing through your hands. Imagine it shimmering like light, moving from you to others and back again in a continuous flow. Feel the gratitude of being part of that circulation. Whisper to yourself, softly but with full belief, I am connected to infinite supply. Those words are not a wish. They're a recognition of truth. They remind your subconscious that the source of abundance never dries up. Only the channels do, and channels reopen through faith and language. Some may roll their eyes and call this wishful thinking. Yet, watch closely and you'll notice that people who speak abundance tend to find it. Their optimism becomes a lens that spots opportunities others miss. They carry themselves differently, make bolder choices, and expect things to work. And because expectation shapes perception, their world starts matching that confidence. The seed of prosperity, then, is not luck. It's inner permission. Florence Scovel Shinn's timeless insight was that faith and words are twin architects of destiny. So before learning any complex strategy or chasing quick gains, pause and examine the simplest tool you own, your speech. How do you describe money when no one is listening? What tone fills your mind when you open your wallet? Is it dread, guilt, or joy? That tone is the silent ritual already running in your life, 24 hours a day. Changing it doesn't require effort, it requires attention. And it begins with a choice to speak differently for just 7 seconds at a time. In those 7 seconds, you can create peace where tension used to live. You can train your nervous system to associate wealth with calm instead of panic. You can invite the invisible law of harmony, which Florence Scovel Shinn said always responds to faith spoken aloud. Think of this as tuning an instrument that has drifted out of key. You're not forcing prosperity to appear, you're bringing yourself into tune with what already exists. When that happens, the change feels subtle at first. A small discount on something you needed, a random act of generosity, a chance conversation that opens a door. But these are not coincidences. They are signals that your frequency is shifting. Just as radio waves carry music once the dial is aligned, abundance carries solutions once you align your words and emotions. The ritual is simply a practical way to retune your personal station from scarcity to flow. Take a deep breath. Feel the quiet power in that pause. You've just taken the first step toward transforming the way you experience money, faith, and self-worth. Florence Scovel Shinn called this speaking the word. Modern minds might call it intentional language or conscious affirmation. Names aside, its essence is timeless. The universe listens to the conviction behind your voice. Most people think money answers only to effort. The harder you work, the more you earn. But Florence Scovel Shinn revealed that effort alone cannot open the gates of prosperity. The real key lies in vibration, in the emotional and verbal frequency you transmit while you act. You might toil for years, but if your inner dialogue whispers fear, "I'll never have enough," the effort becomes tangled in resistance. The universe reads that vibration as instruction. It doesn't judge, it only mirrors. So if your words carry the energy of lack, life simply reflects it back as shortage and struggle. Imagine two people doing the same job. One constantly mutters, "It's never enough," while the other says, "Everything I need arrives right on time." They both put in equal hours, yet their results diverge because their internal frequency is not the same. Florence used to call this the tone of consciousness. When you change your tone, everything else follows. Your thoughts influence your emotions shape your choices, and those choices carve your destiny. It's not magic, it's the law of correspondence. What's inside is what shows up outside. Now, think of money as a friend rather than a problem. How would you talk to a friend who's loyal, generous, and supportive? Would you complain every time they appeared? Would you sigh with frustration when they left temporarily? Of course not. You'd appreciate their presence, trust they'll return, and treat them with warmth. Florence Scovel Shinn taught that money is a living current of divine energy, not a cold object. When you treat it with respect and gratitude, it begins to enjoy staying in your life. That's the secret. The emotion you project becomes the environment money feels in. If it feels rejected, it drifts away. If it feels welcomed, it circulates back with joy. Here's the practical part. The simple but profound 7-second ritual that turns every financial moment into an act of alignment. Whenever you touch money, hold it gently. Pause. Inhale deeply. Feel the texture, the weight, the life it carries. Then say with genuine intention, "I am a magnet for limitless abundance." Let those words sink into your body. Don't rush. For 7 seconds, allow the vibration of that phrase to echo inside you. That's all. 7 seconds to remind the subconscious that you are safe, deserving, and open to receiving. The words become a signal, like tuning a radio to the frequency of wealth. You may wonder why 7 seconds. Florence Scovel Shinn loved symbolism. In sacred traditions, the number 7 marks completion. 7 colors of light, 7 musical notes, 7 days in creation. 7 seconds are enough to bridge thought and feeling, enough to plant the seed before the mind interrupts with doubt. Neuroscientists confirm that short, repeated focus periods rewire the brain faster than long, scattered efforts. Those few seconds create an anchor of calm inside the storm of daily stress. And here's something fascinating. It's not repetition that brings results, but repetition with emotion. The universe doesn't respond to empty words. It responds to the charge behind them. So when you say, "I am a magnet for limitless abundance," say it as if it were already true. Feel what relief and gratitude would feel like if money flowed freely. Pretend if you must at first. The feeling is the fertilizer for the seed of your words. Over time, pretending turns into believing, and believing becomes knowing. Many people ask, "What if I don't believe it yet?" Florence's answer would be, keep planting. Faith doesn't sprout fully grown. It grows with every conscious word you water it with. The first few times may feel mechanical, but every repetition weakens the roots of fear. Eventually, the soil of your mind becomes fertile again, and new experiences start to bloom where anxiety once lived. Now, let's add one more ingredient that Florence Scovel Shinn considered sacred: gratitude. Gratitude seals the vibration. After you affirm your phrase, whisper a quiet, "Thank you." That simple act completes the circuit between giving and receiving. Gratitude turns the ritual from desire into celebration, from seeking into knowing. When you thank before seeing results, you prove to the universe that your faith is real. And faith, as Florence said, opens doors where logic sees walls. At this point, you might already feel a spark, a subtle sense that something inside is aligning. That's the beginning of transformation. But to keep the energy moving, the practice must become a way of living, not a one-time experiment. Start small. When you buy coffee, when you transfer funds, when you find a coin on the ground. Each interaction with money is an invitation to perform this 7-second miracle. And speaking of miracles, if you're feeling the resonance of these words, take a moment now to join this community of awakened minds. Subscribe to this channel, not as an act of routine, but as a conscious decision to walk in abundance. Leave a comment sharing one sentence you'll begin saying to yourself about money. It could be, "I welcome prosperity," or "Money serves the good in my life." Choose words that empower you and type them below. Your comment won't just be text on a screen. It will be your public declaration of new energy. Together, we amplify this vibration. When thousands of people speak abundance at the same time, it forms a field, a wave of collective faith. Imagine being part of that wave, sending out frequencies that could uplift your family, your business, your home. Florence Scovel Shinn believed that every spoken word travels through the ether, magnetizing its equal. So why not let your voice be one that calls in wealth, harmony, and peace? This is not about greed or obsession. It's about freedom. Freedom to give, to create, to live with calm and purpose. The ritual isn't for getting rich quick. It's for getting aligned forever. It restores dignity to your relationship with money and dissolves the invisible shame that society attaches to wealth. When you understand that abundance is a divine language and your words are the grammar, everything starts making sense. So breathe once more, slowly, as you imagine your finances glowing with balance and order. Whisper, "I am a magnet for limitless abundance." Thank you. Those are the 7 seconds that rewrite your story. When Florence Scovel Shinn wrote that the word is your wand, she wasn't speaking in metaphors for poetry's sake. She meant it literally. Words carve grooves into the invisible field of your mind. Every time you repeat a phrase, whether positive or negative, you strengthen a neural circuit that dictates how you perceive and attract money. The brain is like clay, soft and impressionable. Whatever is impressed upon it through repetition becomes expression in reality. You've probably experienced this without realizing it. Think about how easily you expect the worst after years of financial stress. That expectation feels automatic because your mind was trained to repeat it. But here's the miracle Florence pointed to long before neuroscience confirmed it. New grooves can be shaped at any moment, no matter how old the old ones are. So, the 7-second ritual isn't superstition. It's neurological hygiene. It's how you teach your subconscious a new melody. When you hold money and say, "I am a magnet for limitless abundance," you're not begging or pretending. You're introducing a new pattern. The emotion of calm faith tells your body, "This is safe now." Once your nervous system feels safe around money, creativity awakens. You start to notice opportunities that used to hide behind anxiety. You feel guided to make better choices. Your intuition sharpens because fear no longer clouds it. Florence Scovel Shinn emphasized that poverty consciousness isn't about having little. It's about expecting little. She saw wealth as a divine law, a rhythm of giving and receiving that never stops unless we interfere through worry or resentment. The ritual reopens that rhythm. It reminds you that money isn't static. It circulates. It moves through people, ideas, and moments. When you affirm abundance, you join that circulation consciously. You become a participant in the cosmic economy rather than a bystander hoping for luck. Here's a simple story inspired by her teachings. A man named Daniel, let's call him that, used to panic every time he checked his balance. His chest would tighten, his mind would spiral into fear of bills, debts, and failure. Then one day he read Florence's line, "No man is ever defeated until he admits defeat." He decided to test the 7-second ritual. At first, it felt awkward. His hands trembled when he held a few crumpled notes and whispered, "I am a magnet for limitless abundance." But he kept at it. Day after day, the ritual softened his anxiety. Within weeks, he noticed he wasn't afraid to open his banking app anymore. Within months, an unexpected job offer arrived. The numbers changed, yes, but more importantly, he had changed. The shift inside him invited a shift outside him. This is how transformation works. It starts invisibly. People often give up because they expect instant evidence. But Florence said faith is the substance of things hoped for, the invisible foundation before results appear. Think of a seed in the soil. You water it daily even though you can't yet see the sprout. Each repetition of the 7-second ritual is a drop of water on that seed. Doubt dries it out. Consistency makes it bloom. And there's another layer to all of this. Emotion. Many of us grew up associating money with stress, guilt, or conflict. Those emotions form an energetic wall that abundance can't cross. The ritual helps dissolve that wall by attaching peace to money again. Every time you hold cash and feel gratitude instead of tension, you teach your nervous system that wealth is friendly. That emotional rewiring is more powerful than any financial plan. Because even the best plan fails if fear is in charge. Florence Scovel Shinn believed that the universe doesn't understand fear, it only responds to faith. When you complain about lack, the universe hears, "Send more lack." When you bless what you have, it hears, "Multiply this." She described it as a mirror principle. Whatever image you project through words and feelings is what life reflects back. If you want a new reflection, you don't smash the mirror. You change the expression. That's what the 7 seconds are for, to change the expression of your energy before it becomes experience. Let's bring this closer to daily life. Next time you pay a bill, instead of grumbling, pause for those 7 seconds. Feel appreciation for the service that bill represents: electricity, internet, food, shelter. Say silently, "I circulate this money with love, and it returns multiplied." You'll be amazed how quickly the vibration around you shifts. You might feel lighter, more centered. Maybe someone unexpectedly treats you to coffee, or you find a forgotten $10 in your jacket. Those are confirmations, small signs that the current is moving again. Now, if you've made it this far, that already means you're part of a rare group. People willing to experiment with consciousness, not just complain about circumstances. Take a deep breath right now. Yes, you listening or reading. Inhale abundance, exhale limitation. And if these ideas resonate with you, if Florence Scovel Shinn's wisdom stirs something inside, pause for a moment. Subscribe, not out of habit, but as a declaration that you choose growth. Write one sentence in the comments that describes the new belief you're adopting today. Something simple like, money comes to me with ease, or I am guided to right action. This isn't just engagement, it's collective manifestation. Your words will join thousands of others in a ripple of new energy. Because here's the truth, every time one person changes their vibration toward money, they lift the collective field a little higher. Families heal financial anxiety that has lasted generations. Communities start to thrive differently. Florence's vision wasn't about selfish gain. It was about restoring harmony between spirit and matter. She believed prosperity was everyone's birthright, not a privilege of the few. And it starts with awareness, 7 conscious seconds at a time. So as you move through your day, carry this quiet power with you. When you swipe your card, when you check your account, when you hand over cash, remember, these are sacred moments. They're not chores. They're conversations with the universe. And in those conversations, your words matter more than the numbers. Whisper them with conviction. I am a magnet for limitless abundance. Thank you. Florence Scovel Shinn often said that faith is the bridge between the invisible and the visible. To her, money was never a pile of paper or digits on a screen. It was a living current that responded to faith like iron responds to a magnet. She compared the human mind to a broadcasting tower that sends out frequencies of thought and emotion, and the universe as a perfect receiver that echoes back the same signal. When you vibrate faith, you receive opportunity. When you vibrate fear, you receive obstacles. That is why the 7-second ritual is far more than a habit. It's a tuning process. Each repetition adjusts the frequency of your inner broadcast, replacing static with clarity, doubt with assurance. Most people live unaware that they are constantly broadcasting. Their words about money are often soaked in worry. It's hard to make ends meet. I can't keep up. I'm always behind. These sentences seem innocent, but each one is a frequency of scarcity. Florence called such talk spells of failure. And she was right. When spoken with emotion, they command reality to obey. But the opposite is also true. When you say, money flows to me in perfect timing, or I always have more than enough, you're casting spells of abundance. The difference isn't fantasy, it's focus. What you repeat becomes your radio station, and you can't play the song of prosperity on the channel of lack. That's why these 7 seconds are so powerful. They interrupt the autopilot of fear and replace it with the conscious rhythm of faith. The moment you hold a coin, feel its cool metal and remember it's not a symbol of debt but of divine flow. Whisper your phrase, I am a magnet for limitless abundance. Then, breathe gratitude into the space between thought and feeling. That short pause recalibrates everything. It's the moment your brain shifts from survival mode to creation mode. Neuroscience calls it neuroplasticity. Florence Scovel Shinn called it the miracle of the spoken word. 2 languages for the same mystery. And something beautiful happens once this shift stabilizes. You begin to act differently without forcing it. Instead of chasing opportunities out of desperation, you attract them through calm confidence. Instead of hoarding money in fear, you circulate it with joy, trusting that it will return multiplied. Florence often reminded her students, no man gives to me but God through man. In other words, money doesn't come from people, it comes through them. This understanding releases the tension that often poisons financial relationships. You stop clinging, stop fearing rejection, and start trusting that every payment, every transaction, is part of a divine flow. To strengthen this flow, combine the ritual with a second practice. Conscious gratitude in motion. Each night before you sleep, recall every moment of financial exchange in your day. Paying for a meal, receiving your salary, finding a coin on the ground, and bless it. Say softly, thank you, universe, for circulating abundance through me. This practice turns memory into magnetism. Gratitude isn't just emotion, It's alignment. It reminds the subconscious that abundance is already present, that there is no separation between you and the source of supply. The more you practice, the more natural it feels, until faith becomes your default vibration. Of course, the world will still present challenges. Florence Scovel Shinn never denied that. She simply refused to give problems more power than faith. She said, "When you are filled with faith, you cannot fail." The ritual is your anchor when the winds of doubt blow. Those 7 seconds are the pause before panic, the moment where you choose creation over reaction. Each time you return to your phrase, you reclaim authorship of your reality. Remember, the universe isn't testing you. It's teaching you to stay tuned to your chosen frequency. Let's visualize what this looks like in everyday life. You open your wallet and see less money than expected. The old reflex might be frustration or fear. But now, instead of falling into that old loop, you pause. You take 7 slow seconds. You hold the wallet, inhale deeply, and affirm, "I am a magnet for limitless abundance." You imagine invisible currents moving toward you, new clients, inspired ideas, unexpected refunds, acts of generosity. You don't demand them. You allow them. The moment you feel even a spark of relief, the pattern has already shifted. The emotional charge of fear loses its grip, and that's when solutions start appearing. And let's talk about action. Florence never preached passive waiting. She believed faith and action are twins. Once your vibration aligns with abundance, inspired ideas naturally surface. You may feel a sudden urge to call someone, start a project, or simplify your life. Follow those impulses. They are the universe moving through you. The 7-second ritual clears the noise so those nudges can be heard. It's like clearing fog from a windshield. The road ahead was always there, you just couldn't see it. By now, you might be feeling something. A quiet excitement, maybe a flicker of hope. Hold on to that. It means your energy is beginning to shift. You've started moving from scarcity to trust, from fear to faith. This is the very bridge Florence Scovel Shinn spoke about. Every repetition strengthens it until walking across becomes second nature. Now, I want to invite you to take this further. If this message resonates, if you feel called to cultivate a life of peace with money and purpose, take a moment, right now, to connect. Subscribe, yes, but do it as a spiritual act, as a commitment to abundance. And more importantly, share below how you've already begun to change your words. Maybe you've stopped saying, "I can't afford it," and started saying, "It's not my priority yet." Maybe you've replaced, "Money goes fast," with "Money circulates freely." Tell your story. Your experience might be the exact encouragement someone else needs to hear today. Together we can build a circle of prosperity thinkers, a community that speaks the language of wealth with kindness and consciousness. When thousands speak abundance together, the world listens. Florence Scovel Shinn envisioned such a world, a place where money serves, not enslaves, where faith rules fear, where giving and receiving are one graceful motion. And that vision begins, right now, with your next 7 seconds of intention. Florence Scovel Shinn once wrote that nothing stands between man and his highest good except fear. That single sentence captures the essence of everything you've been learning. Fear is the invisible fence around abundance. It disguises itself as logic, prudence, or humility, but its real purpose is to keep you small. The 7-second ritual exists to interrupt that fear, to remind your heart and mind that the universe is generous and responsive, not hostile or random. Every time you pause, breathe, and affirm your connection to infinite supply, you are reclaiming your role as co-creator rather than victim of circumstance. When you practice this daily, something subtle yet profound happens. Money stops being a symbol of anxiety and starts becoming an instrument of trust. Bills lose their emotional weight. Payments begin to feel like gratitude in motion. You start to notice beauty in the ordinary. Coins glimmering on the sidewalk, opportunities to give, unexpected gifts that arrive as if on cue. Florence Scovel Shinn called these moments signs of alignment. They're confirmations that you've stepped into the current of divine order, where what you need flows naturally toward you. It's important to remember that abundance is not a destination. It's a state of harmony. You don't arrive at wealth. You vibrate with it. And vibration is maintained through daily awareness. The 7-second ritual is your tuning fork. Use it every time money appears, disappears, or even crosses your thoughts. In that brief pause, choose love over worry. Whisper your phrase, "I am a magnet for limitless abundance." Add gratitude. Thank you, universe, for the perfect circulation of supply. Feel the peace that follows. This is how you turn ordinary seconds into sacred ones. As your energy stabilizes, your outer world inevitably shifts. You'll start noticing that situations which once triggered panic now unfold smoothly. Delays resolve without stress. Debts get balanced in surprising ways. A door you thought was closed suddenly opens because you stopped pushing against it and started aligning with it. Florence said, "Faith knows it has already received." That's the golden rule. Behave as if the blessing has already arrived. The ritual isn't about attracting from lack. It's about remembering that you were never lacking in the first place. You might find that generosity becomes easier. You give without fear of loss because you understand circulation. You begin to tithe, donate, or simply share from the overflow, not obligation. And the more you give, the more confidently you receive. That rhythm builds momentum until abundance becomes a lifestyle, not a miracle. This is how Florence envisioned prosperity, as an effortless flow rooted in spiritual law, where both giving and receiving are acts of worship. Let's look beyond finances for a moment. Because when you change the vibration of money, you change everything connected to it. Relationships soften because competition fades. Creativity blooms because the pressure of survival lifts. Even health improves because stress dissolves. Scarcity never lived in your bank account. It lived in your nervous system. Now that your body associates money with peace, the entire system relaxes. You start sleeping better, thinking clearer, moving with quiet confidence. That's not coincidence. It's coherence. Florence Scovel Shinn would often remind her students that man's word is his wand. Every sentence you speak is a brushstroke on the canvas of your future. That's why the ritual must remain sacred. Guard your language the way a gardener guards seedlings. Refuse to say, "I'm broke," even as a joke. Replace it with, "I'm reorganizing my wealth." Refuse to curse the bills in your mailbox. Bless them for the services they represent and imagine them returning multiplied. Words are not decoration, they are architecture. Build carefully. If doubt creeps in, and it will, remember this. Faith is not the absence of fear, it's the decision to act in spite of it. You don't have to be fearless to be abundant. You only need to choose faith one thought at a time. That's what those 7 seconds train you to do. They build micro moments of courage until courage becomes instinct. Eventually, you won't need to remind yourself to think abundantly. It will feel as natural as breathing. And if you ever feel tempted to quit because you don't see results fast enough, think of a seed again. A seed doesn't question the soil or the sun. It simply trusts the process. The roots grow long before the sprout appears. Your prosperity is germinating even when nothing seems to be happening. The ritual keeps you watering that seed with patience and faith. Give it time, and you will see the green shoot of abundance breaking through your reality. Now, take a deep breath and look around your life. Every object, every moment, is proof that abundance already surrounds you. The air you breathe, the heartbeat in your chest, the light on your skin, all are signs that the universe gives freely. Money is just one more expression of that generosity. Treat it with the same reverence. And whenever you touch it, even briefly, use those 7 seconds to remember who you are. Not a beggar of blessings, but a channel through which blessings flow. As we come to the end of this journey, let's make this commitment together. From today onward, we will speak to money with respect. We will practice the 7-second ritual as a daily act of alignment. We will stop feeding fear and start feeding faith. Florence Scovel Shinn left us a blueprint for freedom. The spoken word, the unwavering belief, the joyful expectation of good. Her wisdom lives on every time one of us dares to declare abundance with conviction. So, take a moment now to affirm it aloud. Let it vibrate through your chest. I am a magnet for limitless abundance. Every dollar I touch multiplies in love and purpose. I live in divine flow. Say it again, not as repetition, but as revelation. Feel it settle into your bones. And before you go, I want to invite you, with warmth and sincerity, to share this space with others walking the same path. Subscribe if you haven't yet, not out of obligation, but because you believe in what we're building together. Leave your story in the comments. Tell us what changed when you practiced your first 7 seconds of faith. Did you feel peace? Did something shift, however small? Let's turn this channel into a living field of testimonies, a modern classroom for Florence Scovel Shinn's timeless truth. Your story might be the spark that ignites someone else's transformation, because abundance expands when it's shared. And remember, faith spoken is faith multiplied. Thank you for being here, for listening, for believing, even if just a little. Those 7 seconds you give to faith could become the turning point of your entire life. Breathe deeply, smile softly, and carry these words with you wherever you go. The universe delights in my prosperity, and I delight in its flow. That is the language of abundance. And from this moment forward, it's the language you speak.